Hi, I love the happy faces on your toes. It makes me happy when I look at them. And I'm really excited to do this toe reading for you today. So, in toe reading, the left side or the left foot represents the internal self. So, this is your connection with source, the way you talk to yourself, the way you take action for yourself. And so it's all things internal. And then the right side is about your external world, the way that you respond and interact in your outside world, and the way that people receive you and experience you, and the way that you experience them. And then each of the toes has an energy. So your big left toe is your spirit path, and your big right toe is your life path. And then we have communication and expression on both feet, action, relationships, and trust and prosperity. So those are the energies of the toes and how they are working with your internal and external world. And so in this toe reading, I'm translating the language of the toes, finding the key messages that your toes want to share with you. And because your toes are your connection point to the earth and they are the first messengers, things are going to show up in the toes long before they show up in your body. Things that don't get resolved through the toes can manifest in other places in your body, in emotions, and as well as actions. So when I look at your toes, the very first message that I get is what a deep communicator and action taker you are. Communication is very important to you. And it is important to you that you feel heard and understood. And you provide that space for others to feel heard and seen and understood. And you have this gift of helping people feel safe with you and of being very open-hearted. So these are great blessings that you have. And I can tell this because of this longer second toe. This shows extroversion, which can look in different ways for different people, but definitely this high drive to communicate with people. And then these action toes, you take action on these things. Now, there is some blocked energy in both of these toes, and we're going to talk about that in just a moment, but I just want to compliment you on your action taking way that you live. Relationships, very important to you. The fact that that fourth toe is almost as long as these other toes and fairly straight. There is some blocked energy in there, but again, the longness of your toes really shows that you are grounded and that you're really intuitive, highly intuitive. We can see this also through this space that you have here between your first and second toes. Very grounded. The connection point between your second and third toes on both feet is a little higher on the foot. And so this is a strong tie between communication and action. Now there is some space here. So you just be aware of following through on what you say you're going to do, and don't say you'll do something if you're not going to. I'd be curious to know what experiences you've had with that. That is also probably kind of a triggering thing if somebody else does that. If they don't walk their walk or talk their talk. And so just being aware of that, and be aware that as part of your personal integrity, that walking, talking in integrity and in alignment is very important for you. Your relationships are very important in your life. You're good at relationships. You have a lot of relationships. And I'd be curious to know what your primary language of affection is. Is it words of affection, or is it acts of service? That would be something that would be interesting to discuss with you as it pertains to the toes. So, and you're willing to take risks in the relationship. So, and be vulnerable in the relationship. And a question to consider is, how are your boundaries? Do you feel like your boundaries get crossed frequently? And if they do, what, let's think about boundaries. Boundaries don't have to be battle lines. You love peace. Arguing or a lack of alignment with people is not going to work for you. You really love peace. This safe space that you offer to other people, you want that for yourself. So this ability to create and hold safe space. The life path that you are on right now is very much in alignment with you, to have a safe space for people to discover more about themselves. This straight right life path toe here, it's grounded, it's solid, and definitely in the right career. Your spirit path toe, same. If you look here, it is solid, it is down on the ground, it is slightly lifted. You are such an optimist. That's such a beautiful gift. And your spirit path is almost as in alignment as your life path. In your spirit path, just really lean into your intuition. Some of the things that might have worked for you in the past may not be working for you now. You are continuing to evolve, and as you do, uncovering more about that. And I'm getting a feeling that it is perhaps something in your physical body. So is there something in the way that you live life in the physical world, maybe food that you eat or don't eat, activities that you engage or don't engage in? Is there something that you aren't doing that would be in alignment with you to start to help your spiritual path? Or are there things that you are doing that served you at one time and now it's time for something different? That would be a great journaling prompt for you to spend some time doing. Is what is it time to bring in, and what is it time to release? These are your trust and prosperity toes. You may tend to be a little bit too trusting. And if there was a better or worse of too trusting or not trusting enough, I would say that it is better to be too trusting. And here's why. Because I believe that the lifetime overall cost of not trusting people and trying to prevent yourself from getting hurt by not trusting people, that lifetime cost is far higher than trusting people, living vulnerably, and knowing that because we're human, you will get hurt sometimes. But the advantage of being open and loving and trusting is that if you do get hurt, you personally know that you've given it everything that you had. There's nothing else that you could have done. Whereas if you hold back or try to protect yourself, I put that in air quotes, what can happen is when you get betrayed or hurt, you didn't give your full self. So then it's easy to get on that hamster wheel of, well, what if I would have done this better, or this better, or this better? So well done with being very, very open-hearted. And we're going to skip over to your chart here and talk about a few things. So you do have that Leo lion heart, so incredibly open-hearted. And you've got also, that's a big part of your identity, is being open-hearted. That's your sun here in your first house, is that open-heartedness. This is also where a lot of that fire comes, where you take action here in your action toes, this fire and the Mercury fire, because your Mercury is also here in the first house in the sign of Leo, and so is your ascendant. So you are a double Leo in your sun and your rising sign, which is Leo. And then this personal planet, the first personal planet of Mercury, is also here in Leo, right next to your ascendant. So with your Mercury in Leo, you're a positive person. I called it optimism when I talked about, the little uplift of those first toenails. Indeed, you are just a very positive person. You are open-hearted. You have big, big, big ideas, and how beautiful that you've got the action to back those ideas up. So embrace that. This is part of your identity in this lifetime. And then the fact that your Mercury is also here in Leo. Mercury is the ruler of the second toe, the communication and expression toe. And Leo is a bigger than life kind of a sign, very gregarious and entertaining and fun and creative. And you definitely embody those traits in this lifetime with your sun, your Mercury, and your rising all in the sign of Leo. Now, one of the things that I found fascinating about your chart is all the water. So you've got your fire in your rising, your Mercury, and your sun. Then you've got earth for Pluto and Uranus. Everything else in your chart is water. You've got Neptune down here in water in the sign of Scorpio. You have Chiron and Saturn here in the sign of Pisces, water. And then you have all of this stuff in your 12th house, all in Cancer, the sign of water. So when you read about different signs, you may actually more closely align with the Cancer archetype. I want to read for you just a couple of words that correlate with Cancer. I mean, of course, everyone's a blend of everything in their chart, but you do have a chart signature, and your chart signature is Cardinal Water, which is the sign of Cancer. And so reading just from my book here that I've created. So first of all, the moon is here in Cancer, at home in Cancer. The moon is the ruler of Cancer. And the thing that Cancer energy loves the most is to be caring. Kindness, acceptance, nurturing, compassion, femininity, gentleness. These are all characteristics of Cancer. I like to call Cancers moon children. You are a moon child in the sign of Cancer. Some of the archetypes that go along with Cancer are healer, psychic, mother, maiden, witch, counselor, psychologist, and nurturer. I think about what you do in your work and how much you have embodied this Cancer energy, this moon child energy. So you have all of this stuff in the 12th house, and you have a bunch of stuff. This is called a stellium. It's when you have 3 or more planets in a single house or sign. And that's what you've got here in the zodiac sign of Cancer. So you've got your moon, Jupiter, Mars, and Venus. And these are all everything that shows up in the 12th house, especially if it's a multiple planets, are like little suitcases that you get to unpack in this lifetime. And so understanding, this non-negotiable need, that's your moon sign, of safety, of these safe spaces, of using your intuition and trusting it. I'm going to skip Jupiter for now, but I'll come back to Jupiter. Mars in Cancer. Mars doesn't love to be in Cancer because Mars is fiery. You've got some fire. Yay, these action toes. And so Mars sometimes is swimming. He's a fire sign and he's swimming in watery Cancer. But Mars in Cancer can be a softened version of Mars. So you are definitely taking action. And the number one thing that I would recommend for anyone who has Mars in Cancer is your boundaries. It can feel uncomfortable to have Mars in Cancer. And so making sure that you have those boundaries, that you don't have to stand with a sword defending, metaphorically, but that are more like boundaries, like at old theaters when you have those metal poles that are about waist or a little higher, and then the soft velvet little rope. That's a barrier, and people generally obey those barriers. And that's the kind of barriers that are going to work really well for you. Now, there's always those people that are going to step over, cross over, unhook that barrier and want to come in. And remember, Cancer the crab likes to sidestep, likes to avoid confrontation. But what happens if you corner a crab? Those little pincers come out, okay? But then what ends up is Cancer then feels bad because they were mean and they weren't providing safety, and they want to be loving and compassionate. So it's important for Cancer people to have these boundaries and to set them up energetically. And then if somebody crosses them, saying things like, that doesn't work for me. Or, there's a variety of things that you can say that feel less abrupt than if you get cornered and the pincers come out. Not letting yourself get cornered is kind of the go-to for people with a lot of Cancer. And with these action toes that you've got that are just so prominent, such a huge part of your life, if you get cornered, it's probably not pretty. Like, you can go, you've got a long fuse, you can go, 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 go. But then when it gets to the keg box, it's big. So just keep that in mind with these action toes. Set up your boundaries and then kindly defend them. All right, let's talk about Venus in Cancer. Venus does great in Cancer. And again, this is about safety. This is about compassion and a deep spiritual connection with people and with partners. All right, Jupiter. I want to go back to one thing really quick. So with all these things in the 12th house, this lifetime is about you unpacking these things. The stuff around partnership, connection, attraction, and romance, the way that you take action, being a pioneering trailblazer, and understanding the emotional needs of your moon in Cancer. Okay, Jupiter here in the 12th house. I want you to really embrace this. Jupiter in your 12th house is an angel on your shoulder. You've had an angel on your shoulder your whole life, and that angel is going to continue to be on your shoulder to watch out for you, to protect you. So just embrace that. And we're just going to go back to your toes here, and just a couple of things that I would really recommend for you. You've got a little bit of blocked energy in these 3 toes here, especially on your left side, and a little bit on your right side. These toes would really love like some massage, or one of those, home foot spas, or going to get a pedicure, just something to release some of that energy. So many times what happens is the energy is just kind of stuck in the toes. And when we release it, it really releases it throughout the entire body, which is a really beautiful thing. Spending time outside, grounding. No wonder you love the water so much with all that water in your chart. Your feet love the water too. So spending time in water, in the earth, and just pampering those toes. Consider the journal prompts that I mentioned in this reading. And I want you to just imagine when this toe is just a little bit more straight on this left side, you're going to become even more intuitive. Again, this is the channel of intuition. You have so many gifts and talents, and it's just been an honor to read your toes. Thank you.